Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you back to Sovereign Gaming. As you can see on screen, we are continuing where we left off with all of the fence work against the seawall in the SimCity Sims 3 Create a World build. And today that's really where the focus is going to be at, is this seawall and just kind of watching it come together and all of that. So today I experiment a little bit with different kind of ground textures just to see how I actually want it to shape up to be, and really to see if my idea of making it more of a natural sloped seawall with like rocks on it would actually make sense, and if I can maybe even execute on it and get away with it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely still not a finished product, even by the end of today's episode in terms of how the seawall turns out, but I really did like the direction that it was going in. It needs a couple of adjustments, and one of the adjustments is really painting the water terrain and all of that. So that's really going to be something that's high on my to-do list when it comes to recording the next set of episodes and whatnot. So you can expect that episode in the near future, shortly after we move, after we finish up here with the government campus. But yeah, that's really the idea with today's episode, is just to continue off of building that seawall and actually detailing it a little bit as well with some planters and some trees and all of that. So it really does make the area come alive a little bit. I know I keep saying that, but it's really true. It's what I feel happens anyways. And nowadays when I zoom out and create a world, it really actually is starting to feel like a world that is coming together and that looks playable and fun in The Sims 3. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for a world that emulates SimCity, that is an homage to the Sims lore from I guess all of the lore really that I feel I want to take from the Sims series, and also like a series that allows a player to access the entire franchise's worth of content. And I kind of feel at this point that the vision is certainly possible. I've mentioned it before, but I have downloaded the Sunlit Tides textures, and this is definitely, I don't think that this is not the sand that is used in Sunlit Tides. I'm pretty sure it isn't, but I kind of liked it because it looked more like a wet sand that you would see on these kinds of sloped breakwaters, I suppose. So yeah, that was kind of the look that I was going for. I was just looking for some sand to put some rocks on top of, essentially, so that I can so that it looks like it's something that would actually transition into more tropical watercolors. However, I'm not sure if this is the right texture for that, and honestly, like when I get to recording the water paint episode essentially for the government campus, I'm gonna have to be really careful with the references that I use. So this sand could very well change, because it might not emulate the right feeling and look that I was going for. But for now, I've just kind of placed it here as a bit of a placeholder and as a visual cue that the water starts pretty much at the bottom of the slope there. But yeah, I end up painting some rocks over it, and I do like this rock texture that is being painted over it. And the primary reason for that is that I don't want to get too crazy when it comes to putting in props in the Sims 3 Create a World. And it's kind of like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, because even though I have like a really good gaming computer, I would say, I am very paranoid when it comes to using the Sims 3 Create a World. I've already mentioned it before, but when I booted up the Sims 3 Create a World, it still kind of ran like it did on my old computer, and my old computer was pretty decent. But this new one is like miles ahead of that older computer, so I'm just kind of, chalking it up to the Create a World program itself just being a little outdated and just kind of running with some bumps and all of that within it, as we see, hence some of my design decisions. But yeah, the idea behind using this rock texture overlay on top of the sand is just so that I'm not placing like hundreds of rocks to surround this, to surround the government campus here. And honest truth is that I'm probably going to be using this type of natural seawall or breakwater look for a lot of the downtown core and the land that shapes up to be across from the across from the bridge. So that's really the idea here, is just try to minimize some of the props that I would have to use. Now granted, I am the one that is using a bunch of retaining walls, but that was the whole idea behind this as well, was to use less retaining walls for seawalls. So yeah, that was really the direction that I was going for here. Comment below if you have any suggestions, or even if you have any points of reference. I would really love to take a look at that. One of the most disappointing things when it comes to the Create a World system is just the fact that it doesn't read any store content. Now, I know that's been like a gripe from the beginning, but I feel like there was a time where I could actually get some of the Sunlit Tides plants in the Create a World system so that I could actually place them. Now, it's not working for me in this case, but I feel like that there was a way way back when, and I'm not about to uninstall my Create a World to find out, because I do not want to accidentally kill this project while it's still coming to be. But yeah, that's if I had it my way, and if I had access to the Sunlit Tides palm trees, at least that's what would be going into these planters. But for now, I feel like I found a good compromise for the palm trees that I ended up using for the seawall and for that northern part of the seawall in Old Town as well. So I'm quite happy with them no matter what, but it could have been better. It could have been Sunlit Tide stuff, but that's going to have to really come through in some of our lot builds that I will eventually end up doing after I export the world. And that is really to bring in that Sunlit Tides that Sunlit Tides energy, I suppose, into this build, because Sunlit Tides really has the color palette that I am looking for, and it also has the vegetation that I would really want to be using in the lots as well. But yeah, all of the vegetation that I'll be placing here within the planters, and also as part of some of the mini gardens, is certainly something that I had kept in mind, in that it would complement Sunlit Tides pretty well. So that was really the idea behind the planters here, was just to use something that would complement the Sunlit Tides vegetation and flowers and all of that. But yeah, these planters and these palm trees really make this come alive, and I'm still very impressed with how it all turned out. And as you can see, like with the seawall, I ended the natural seawall right up at the end of the Old Town seawall with the retaining walls. So that was, and I think I even placed a couple of rocks in there, if I remember correctly, or at least I ended up doing that, like real rocks, not just the terrain paint. So yeah, I'm reserving those rocks again, those prop rocks, for when I do get a chance to really detail the world, which will come at a much later episode. Right now, I just kind of want to get the bones in for what this world is going to look like and what it's going to function as. And then I'll go back and do a bunch of more detailing as well. One of my favorite parts of this build was actually putting in this police car lot. It helps to kind of force my hand in a way, and also serves as another reminder for me in terms of lot building, because there would be no other lot there would really be no other community lot located beside a police car yard unless it was the police station itself. So that was really the idea here. I saw it in a City Skylines episode somewhere where a player was actually putting in like police car lots and all that, and it really helped to give the area some more story, and that's something that I wanted to emulate here as well. Now granted, I did take a look and there weren't any ambulance or fire truck props either. Maybe I'll have to take another look again, but I definitely noticed that. So when it comes to the hospital and fire station builds, well, I might not be able to put a lot right beside it with those kind of vehicles. But yeah, I really wanted to represent like service vehicles and what that encapsulates here. And I was really happy with the way that the police car parking lot turned out. I feel like it really helps to bring the city together, and I was very happy with it, as you can clearly tell. And once I actually get the Roaring Heights police station actually built in here, it's going to really make the area come together, and it's going to make it feel really cohesive as well. And another reason why I placed the police car lot in the area that I did is that I kind of wanted to offset the city hall that's going to sit across from the police station, so that when you're looking northwards from the downtown core, you can still see the city hall building amongst the along with, I guess, the police station, because the police station's a pretty tall building, because I'm going to use the Roaring Heights one. As for these little mini gardens that are springing up throughout the build here, I really love these. Again, it's just a little bit of plant life, a little bit of vegetation that is really making the government campus pop, and I'm really, really loving the way that it looks. Or at least I'm loving the idea. I don't know, I might just have a bad sense of style or a bad sense of color palettes there, but the rhododendrons that I put on each corner is supposed to be a repeated pattern throughout, because it looked like these smaller garden areas seem to come into like some sort of a triangle shape, or at least like a polygon shape that suggested it was a triangle. Anyways, again, I chose the plants that I did based on the fact that they would ideally complement the sunlit tides vegetation well when I actually go and do the lot builds. So yeah, I really love the way that these gardens turned out. Of course, like, I'm sure that Sims can just like walk through them or whatnot because they're right by the path, but they just go to speak to the fact that the government campus is a very well maintained and a very well landscaped area, and that there's a lot of money that actually goes into the landscaping and into the trees and such. As we finish up the world here, I am just placing a couple of these fences that I've been using throughout the SimCity Harbor, and also a little bit throughout Old Town as well. I'm very okay with using these kinds of fences. I actually think that, again, I've mentioned it many times, but the function is what I am really looking for, and I'm really looking to emulate that Sims should not be crossing certain spaces, like not into the police car yard, and definitely not into the rail yard where they could get hurt. So it's just more of a security thing, and I was very happy with the way that the fences ended up looking. It seems to be something that is commonly found throughout the urban parts of the city anyways, and that's really all that I wanted to say about the fences. The other thing that I wanted to get into is that I do actually end up at the end of this episode changing the terrain just a little bit. I like the grass that was used over in Old Town for the more lush grass, so I brought that over here since it would make sense that the lawns here would be very much upkept, whereas in the harbor, I was using a lot of asphalt textures there, and I'll probably continue to use the asphalt textures throughout the downtown core of the city because it frankly makes sense that that would be the case. And that is going to do it for today's episode. I really just wanted to get some terrain paint laid down. I wanted to experiment with those rocks on the slopes as the natural seawall. Like, what do you guys think about that? Leave a comment below and provide me any kind of like references or examples that you think that I would benefit from looking at. I'd be very curious to see what you guys lay out there for me. But yeah, I just wanted to end off the episode just kind of working into some of those detailing there, and just to also allow it to come alive a little more. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, and if you've been enjoying the SimCity build series within the Sims 3 Create a World tool, then feel free to leave a like and a subscribe as well if you'd like. Again, that really helps with the algorithms that these social media sites have, so that would always be very much appreciated. But as always, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.